الآن توب ستوريز من وطن الكرامة.
Hello, 9 p.m. in Cairo, our time for top stories, and we start with top news items from Libya. Libya's permanent envoy to the Arab League, Ambassador Ashur Bourash, stressed the need for a unified Arab strategy to counter terrorism because of the challenges the nation faces, notably terrorism. In a press statement, Bourash warned that the expansion of terrorist Daesh group in Libya will have a direct impact on neighboring countries and on the southern European countries, which face the danger. Bourash called for cooperation between the intelligence services of Arab countries and identifying sources of funding those groups and providing them with weapons, the matter that will help in fighting those terrorist groups, revealing that a joint defense agreement will be launched by the end of this month and the consequences will be positive. The Arab League Secretary General, Dr. Nabil Al-Arabi, stressed that the joint Arab force, which will be approved at a meeting of Arab foreign and defense ministers next Thursday, is a defensive force which has a task of peacekeeping and humanitarian aid. This came during a meeting with Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj, during which they discussed latest developments in the region, particularly the situation in Libya. The Arab League Secretary General stressed support to the Arab League for efforts exerted by the international envoy Bernardino Leon to support the dialogue between the Libyan parties. Moreover, the Secretary General expected reaching an agreement between the different political forces, expressing optimism about the possibility of forming a national consensus government in the future. Prime Minister Abdullah Al-Thani renewed his call for international and Arab help on behalf of Libya to fight terrorism and the terrorist Daesh group, stressing that the role of Algeria is very important in resolving the Libyan crisis. Al-Thani noted that Algeria has positive according to vision of the situation and circumstances of the region, stressing the keenness of the authorities there on unity of Libya, its future and stability. Moreover, Al-Thani stressed that Libya is depending on the neighboring countries to hold them in the stage, accusing Qatar and Turkey of trying to hold the terrorist forces, noting that it is not acceptable for any country to interfere in the internal affairs of Libya. Saudi cabinet stressed that the importance of contents of Arab League final resolution in Libya and the necessity of respecting the rule of Libya, integrity of its territory and its political independence. During its meeting under the chairman of vice custodian of the two holy mosques, Prime Mohammed bin Naif, the cabinet stressed the importance of helping the Libyan legal authorities to face terrorism and massacres committed by terrorist Daesh group in Sirte and develop a comprehensive plan to ensure the fighting against terrorism without depending only on specific countries, regions or organizations. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius met with his Libyan counterpart Mohamed El-Dairi and Chairman of the Parliament Foreign Affairs Committee Idris Abdullah Al-Maghribi in the French capital Paris. The meeting tackled the bilateral relations between them. Fabius also stressed his country's keenness on the continued support of the Libyan Parliament and the government. For his part, Idris Al-Maghribi stressed the need for France's support to Libya in its fight against terrorism and helping it in the Security Council concerning to lift the arms embargo imposed on the Libyan army. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with the Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on the sidelines of their visit to Russia and attendance of International Exhibition of Air and Space Max 2015. During the meeting, they discussed means of strengthening bilateral relations at various political, economic and development levels and ways of improving them, especially under the circumstances in the region. The two sides also stressed the need to take swift action to counter the threats to Arab national security as well as international peace and security, especially in light of the widening circle of spread of terrorism. And now we transfer to Yemen. Saudi coalition airstrikes killed 2 and injured 6 others in Yemen's Red Sea port city of Hodeida. Witnesses and officials said government buildings and residential homes were crumbling in Hodeida, the latest targets of airstrikes by the Saudi coalition aiming to rid Yemen from Houthi rebels. Witnesses and medical officials say the latest attacks killed at least 2 people and wounded 6 others. The injured were taken to area hospitals, although local authorities there say medical supplies are running low amid a civil war that killed more than 4,300 people with no end in sight. More than a dozen migrants from Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan boarded a rubber boat on the shore of Turkey today, hoping to reach the Greek island of Lesbos. They had paid $1,250 for a seat in the boat, which was packed beyond its capacity. Some of them had been stranded on the beach for the past few days after their dignity was stolen. Lesbos lies less than 10 kilometers from the Turkish coast. It has seen thousands of arrivals in recent month, mostly refugees from the Syrian civil war. The International Rescue Committee said more than 2,000 migrants were arriving daily on the Greek island. And to snap elections in Turkey, the chairman of Turkey's election board, Sadi Gilvan, today confirmed November 1 as the date for a snap parliamentary elections. Deputy of Turkey's right-wing nationalist movement party, MHP, will not take part in the interim government to be formed by Prime Minister Ahmed Davutoglu. Its leader, David Bihasli, reiterated. Davutoglu urged Turkey's opposition parties to join an interim power-sharing government, saying he would offer post to their deputies even if party leaders objected. Within hours, the opposition parties, the secularist CHP and the nationalist MHP, reiterated that they would not take part, raising the prospect of a cabinet dominated by Davutoglu's Islamist-rooted AK party and propped up by outsiders who could include loyal bureaucrats and ex-AKP members. The leaders of the third opposition party, the Pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party, HDP, said his deputies were ready to play a role, but he would not be surprised if Davutoglu tried to exclude them. And about South Sudan's president is expected to sign a peace deal tomorrow to end a 20-month-old conflict, but will list his reservations in an annex to the pact, his foreign minister said today. President Salva Kiir delayed signing the deal in the Ethiopian capital last week, saying he needed more time for consultations. This prompted U.S. threat to UN sanctions if he didn't meet a 2-week deadline to agree. Rebel leader Riek Machar, Kiir's former deputy until he was sacked in 2013, has already signed the peace deal that was brokered by the regional African group IGAD. The conflict, which has exposed deep ethnic divisions, erupted after a power struggle between Adinga and Machar. Fighting has killed thousands of people, driving more than 2 million from their homes, and halted developments in the currently worst nation that seceded from Sudan in 2011. Kiir was expected to sign the deal when regional African heads of state visited Juba tomorrow. Mediation officials and diplomats previously indicated that Kiir's concern including proposals for Juba to be a demilitarized zone and demand he consult his first vice president on decisions. Machar is expected to take part that post. The leaders of North and South Korea have not met for the last 8 years, but the marathon 44-hour talks that brought the bitter rivals back from the brink of conflict was effectively a summit by proxy. They were not in the room, but the North's Kim Jong-un and South Park's Jin-hai might as well have been talking to each other in unprecedented round-the-clock discussions that ended in the early hours of Tuesday. Other top sides haggled in a building happening on the South Korean side of heavily militarized border. Proceedings were linked live by video to both the presidential Blue House in Seoul and to Pyongyang. South Korean officials briefed on the closed-door talks said, thanks to improved communications and strategic breaks, the two leaders were able to monitor the session and issue of instructions. By the close, the two sides hammered out a pact that ended a standoff that last week had included an exchange of artillery fire in one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. Despite the success of the meeting, there was no immediate sign that a proper summit was on the cards. At best, analysts said it means there was hope that faith ties on the peninsula could be restored. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website at www.watanelkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. See you next time. My greeting, رانيا البليدى.
التالي